Thank you for joining Hawaii Wellness Network, and I am holding our new exciting ad in the Hawaii Wellness Directory, our 100 Authors of 2013 Messages of Peace from Hawaii book. And we are so lucky to have our editor of the book, Ruth Grace, and two of the authors. So I'm going to let Ruth have a little conversation with the authors of why they were inspired to be part of the book and a little bit about consciousness, and I will be back. Thanks for joining us.
Yay. Thank you. Okay, so I guess everyone really has to excuse me. I'm just crawling out from underneath a pile of paperwork to join you today. And so that's where I am. But I'm really excited because Lori asked me to facilitate today. I've been really, really buried in just reading all of the entries and working a lot with correspondence and details and all these different things. So this is actually really nice for me to be able to talk to you and be present and get kind of a different taste of what is behind your writing and your work and your thoughts and your presence and all that stuff. So, yeah, so we have 100 different authors, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you introduce yourselves and just share a little bit with the network about who you are and what you do here in Hawaii, and maybe why do you do it, and then we'll get into the book, but I want people to have a little bit of a context first. So Mona, can we start with you?
Sure. So my name is Mona Hirata with Weddings by Grace and Mona, soon to be called New Events, and I am a wedding and event planner. So let's see, why did I want to participate in this project? I love the positivity of it, and I had heard of the call for submissions, and that minute I got into my computer and started typing away.
Really?
Yes.
It was like that fast?
Yeah, wasn't it one of your first entries? I think I must have submitted
you were pretty quick.
At night.
You were pretty quick, and you were out of town too.
Mm-hmm.
You were out of town, which was really impressive, and so, I got this, I'm out of town, because I got your autoresponder first, I think.
Yeah,
and
so
when I
to be
replied.
sure to get it in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, did I answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, sort of. I have so many. And we have Daryl, who's an intuitive here, so we can cover a lot of different ground. But
Okay.
yeah, I think what was really wonderful, every entry has such a different flavor, and every entry comes from someone with a totally different perspective. And yet, what's really amazing is that there's such a clear singularity throughout the book, which is really, really powerful. So I think what was really wonderful, there's a lot of conversation. People are pretty bitter about marriage these days.
Oh.
Like, in general, I talk to a lot of people.
Does that mean I get repeat business?
No, but I think what was so sweet about your entry is, I feel like every entry in this book is really a meditation. It's an invitation to come into a place where really anyone who's reading this gets to visit the author, which I think is really fascinating. So I feel like what was so sweet and precious about your entry was it was just bringing a moment of connection with the real significance of ceremony and what a gift it is, even to be able to be facilitating that kind of love in such a loving place. We live in Hawaii. It's this, it's known throughout the world for the aloha, and you really captured that in your entry. And you're just going to have to read the book to read what Mona said. But it's really beautiful. So, I mean, that was my perspective. I didn't want to interject with you there, but that's the experience that I had when I reviewed your entry and your submission, and was really struck by that. So, I mean, were you like some people said, oh, I was really nervous about entering or sending a submission. I mean, did any of that come up, or was it just? I mean, you said it was really clear. You got on right away, and it was,
It was really a nice moment for me to reflect on what I do, not only as a profession, but what I do because it's a passion of mine, which is helping people to really tie the knot and to formalize their union. And so, yes, I know your call for submissions was about messages of what we want humanity to understand, what we want to share with the rest of the world. And because I'm a wedding planner, I see hundreds of weddings, and yes, it's supposed to be beautiful and romantic, and it's supposed to be filled with love, and oftentimes it is. But I also see some of the negative sides of people, of human nature, come out over the course of planning a wedding. So there's always some challenging family dynamics, and there's cause for people to disagree when planning a wedding. But the really nice thing that I see across the board is people setting aside those differences, even if momentarily, setting aside their differences, setting aside angst, grief, jealousy, whatever sort of negativity, and really channeling and focusing positive energy on the bride and groom or on the couple, which I really love to see. I mean, it's nice to be a part of that. So that's one thing I wanted to share is, why can't we treat each day like it's a wedding where we can, set aside our differences and, put ourselves not first, but, put somebody else ahead of us. I think that's one of the beautiful things about weddings.
Yeah. And that really came across in your entry. And it was just really, and I think Lori has talked about this before, and we've all shared this before, is that we didn't really plan the book. We really let the authors lead the book with the submissions. And I believe that relationships and partnerships are the pillar of what we do in the world. And, facilitating that kind of relationship is true. It is an act of peace. I mean, I guess you get to do it every day, really, in your life.
And it's much more happy than planning funerals.
I guess maybe in some
Which is a different kind of peace, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, well, cycles, really any kind of cycle, I think, is really powerful to be a part of and to commemorate that moment and just bring presence to it. So that was really, really wonderful. I mean, what would you say is the ultimate sort of nugget or the piece of wisdom that you really hope to convey to? I mean, this like Lori and I were working on this last night. When we leave our office, we're like, we've got bags of. I've been accused of being a bag lady because I carry bags of paper around with me. But we're like crying. Like we get into the book, and we're both crying, and it's like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and it's like, I can't believe I'm doing this. This is amazing. And so we should have someone actually documenting that. But we kind of realized I think we had a moment last night where we were working on this and we realized, because the book has started to gel, there's this moment where a project, I've worked on a lot of different projects with a lot of different pieces, and as a wedding, right? I'm sure you can identify with that. So you've got all these details and all these pieces, and there's kind of this moment where you feel like it all comes together. It's that magic moment. And I feel like Lori and I started to touch on that a little bit for the first time last night, which was really amazing and maybe the real significance of it. So anyway, the reason I'm talking about this is you really don't know who will read this book. And so what would you say, or could you say about your entry, or maybe about, I mean, this is it, right? We've got you on air. This is Mona. This is like you get to see her live. This is the real deal. What would you say from your heart space that goes along with this entry out into the world? Because it's about to fly.
Exciting. Well, I would say, I would really like to see everyone, all of us, even humans, practice love more.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't have to be in the form of money. But love is more than just a romantic love. It's from the heart. It's caring. It's giving. It's not self-centered at all. I should recite 1 Corinthians 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. One of the most popular readings for weddings. But I mean, it really is, and I think I'd like to see people spend more time practicing it.
Wow. Yeah. And what I love about that is it's practice. It is practice.
Yes.
It's an opportunity to practice.
Yes. And it's not always easy either.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. What a treat. What a treat.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. My pleasure. So, Daryl, let's tune into you a little bit here. So what is your background, and what did you feel like you really connected with in this when you saw the call for entries, and what went through your head or your heart space, or and maybe I just want you to feel free to share here because you've got a little bit of context that you can probably share about what you do in general.
I'm not sure that I do actually.
Okay.
What had happened was I got the entry, and I thought, oh, this is cool. I think I'll give it a shot. Let's see what'll happen. And so I started writing, and I came up with something like 700 something words, and then something inside of me went, oh, what is a submission? So I stumbled back and I looked, and it was 250 words, and I went, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I submitted like 4 pieces, I think, because each paragraph had something that was its own. So I thought, well, I'll just break the whole thing up. So I don't actually know what I wrote about, but I know all the themes were sort of along the lines of the piece, around different topics maybe. I think because of my work and because of people come into a psychic reading more or less in disharmony. And at least for me, I try to reestablish a sense of harmony to them, to give them some clarity, and help them have some balance, which brings them to peace. And so it just kind of went along with that whole, I guess, flow of energy, just to throw something out. It wasn't really that conscious. I just sort of went with whatever was happening and the energy of the writing. So.
That's what Mona said. She said it's like it just came out.
So yeah, but the truth is I can't remember anything.
Well, I would like to hear you talk a little bit about something that other people have talked about too. But I would love to hear you share a little bit about this. But the practical importance of that internal congruence, that internal harmony. That because if someone comes to you, in a state of disharmony or discord, and part of your work is to bring that balance, into, I guess you're working as an agent for homeostasis, right? Essentially. So then why is that so powerful? Because that's come up a lot. People have really talked about that. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because homeostasis is really more innate than we think that it is.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. We don't really have to produce it. We have to realign with it. And so there are various ways to do that. I had a healer come to the session once, and as healers, we're taught to ground our energy, to cleanse our energy, to shield our energy, and those are nice techniques. But I don't know that they're right on the mark, And so I kind of started to formulate these ideas that if you see yourself as a ball of energy, how do you get somebody else's pain? If you're not receiving the pain, how do you get it? And when I was a massage therapist, I would get people's pain before I even met them. maybe like third in the row. When I'd be like, whose headache is this? And the person would come in, I'd be like, they're like, I have a headache, really, right there? And then, yeah, it's there. So, okay, I didn't get it from you, so how did that happen? And
The transference.
I kind of realized that my energy field was mimicking theirs, so that I could understand what they were going through. Now, if I was able to hold my center while mimicking at the same time, I wouldn't completely drop into their energy.
Okay, that is so key.
Yeah.
What you just said is so key.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's really powerful.
And it's not that hard to do. It takes practice, like you said. Everything takes practice. So, I mean, I have one little story where there was a woman who came in. She was a healer, and she told me that after a long day of it, she'll go out into nature and she'll put her hand in a tree, and the tree makes her feel better. And so I asked her, I said, well, what is the tree doing to make you feel better? And she sighed. She was like, nothing. And I was like, yeah, you're right. The tree is in homeostasis with nature. It's in balance. And when you put your hand on a tree, you agree to go into balance as well, but you don't need the tree to do it. So I try to educate people about energy techniques, about how to just come to their center. And actually, I've always wanted to work with actors too, because actors, I think, have to put themselves into another energy, especially method actors, and they can't sometimes come out of it. So they're in the role, but they get too much into the role, and then they can't back out of it. And I think that's an energetic shift. So lots of the work that I do with people is respecting every layer of our existence, physical, mental, emotional.
And biological,
And how to bring all of that into balance. So leaving out nothing, respecting everything, and enjoying everything too.
Yes. It's a very non-dual perspective in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but we also respect, I try to respect the duality, because I think it is too homogeneous to be really boring. Right. So I think there needs to be some variety to have some fun.
Right. Well, I've found that truly holistic conversation about non-duality does include duality with real, true authenticity. So, but I love what you're saying, because really, it's such an extraordinary experience to this is huge. I mean, what you just touched on is really huge, and it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily understand. And this is going to be a little bit out there, but it does relate to the book. But the neurology of our systems and the way that we have these mirror neurons that function with each other, and they're physical, and they also they respond right to our external, like my neurological system is responding to your neurological system as an external human being, and yet there's also that internal energetic presence. And it's such a dance to really make peace with both spaces. To say, I'm going to make peace internally, but I'm also going to engage in a world where I'm going to also be making peace externally, where I meet that membrane. It would be like a membrane, right? So, and I think, and that relates to the book, in that we know now that there's a lot of research that's, when you read something peaceful, right, or something loving or something kind, there's a change in the internal environment, and then one is able to impose a change upon the external environment, right? So I think that's what's so, just to bring it back to the book, I think that's what's so powerful about choosing the book, is because I said to Lori last night, I really feel like this is not just a book, this is a transmission, really. And that comes across the field in so many different ways, So, I mean, if you can feel a headache before you even meet someone, and you've just written this beautiful entry, what do you think someone is going to be able to feel in that?
Hopefully the peace gets transmitted into the
Right. And that's my ultimate prayer. I mean, as an editor and as a producer and as a project coordinator, that's really, I feel like, my job, is to bring all of those pieces together so that there is a particular, there's literally a body. It's almost like I feel like there's a body of knowledge that's being offered or shared with other people, with all these different traces. But I don't know if that makes sense.
I was just thinking I need to read his piece. I could use some piece.
Actually, what she was saying helped me a lot because I'm also a Kahu and I'm trained under a Kahuna with a 2,000-year history. I don't really like doing weddings, honestly. I'll do anything else. We'll do blessings, we'll do ho'oponopono, we'll do funerals, but when it came to, I was always uncomfortable with weddings. And, it was really interesting because when the financial collapse hit in 2008, I thought, okay, these people are going to come in and ask me about money, right? Nobody did. Everybody came in and asked me about relationships, and I was sitting there going, I don't get it. What's the deal? And then a few years later, I sort of went, who wants to go through it? People don't want to go through it. They'd rather do it with somebody, have some kind of company, and her vision of it, Mona's vision of it, I think is very beautiful to look and how do you establish a homeostasis, sometimes even having to look beyond yourself to do that. So,
oh yeah, that's such a beautiful view, and I think the other thing that's really certainly been something that Lori and I have both felt very strongly about is because there is so much discord in the media and in the world. I think that this is also our way of very strongly saying, here's an example of people who are in unison. And there are different voices, but really it's one voice. So and so I just love it because really we are relating. I mean, these are authors from across the islands. This is inter-island. This is, different 100 different people from different perspectives, and yet it's really phenomenal. And there's this opportunity for everyone, for all of us, to learn from each other. I mean, it's really, really powerful. So I'm getting the nose signal that says that we're almost to a close. So I guess is there anything closing that you would want to say, Daryl, just with your work and maybe with your wish for this publication in general?
Well, I think what you were talking about earlier is there's all of these just separate parts that are coming together with a similar theme. The cool thing is we didn't even know. Like, we don't know each other. We're on the same wavelength. We don't even know that. But it's a wavelength of peace. And that wavelength is always there. And when the readers look into that, and they might resonate with just 2 or 3 out of the whole 100, but that would just be enough to remind them of what they are. When they're feeling peaceful, that's them. It's not that somebody gave it to them or that, it's great to be inspired, but if they didn't have it, they couldn't feel it. So to remind themselves of who they are would be an amazing thing.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. It's really great to see both of you. So, okay, we've got the ebook coming out end of this month, and then we've got the hardback available March 23rd, and that's at the Stillman Reading Center. We'll be having an author reception from 5:30 to 7 p.m. and all sorts of fun stuff that evening, and we will be filming some of it, but not all of it. So, okay, so I guess that's it for this evening, right, Lori?
How do we get in touch with you?
Oh, how do we get in touch with you? Yes. How do we get in touch with you, Mona? So we'll need both websites and also anything else you want to add.
Yes, the way to reach me would be through our website, www.mgweddingshawaii.com. And also I'm available by phone at 808-524-5331.
Okay, Daryl?
And the easiest way to get a hold of me is through Sedona in the World Center, but my phone number is 808-255-4564, and my website is my first and last name, Darrell, Darrell, and Harada, HARADA.com. Those are the best ways.
Great. And my website is worthgrace.com, and soon we'll have the website for the book live, but that's not quite ready yet, so it's still in production. But in the meantime, that's where I am. So great to see you.